Welcome to Teach Me a Lesson. I am Elliott G-B. As always, thank you so much for listening, watching, checking out the podcast. I say it every time, and I'll keep saying it every time because it's true. In this day and age, we have the world at our fingertips. You could be watching, playing, reading, doing anything else, and you are choosing to spend that time here with us, and it is greatly appreciated and does not go unnoticed. Now, please extend that support for the podcast, not just by telling people about it, not just by spreading the word, but following on social media, okay? Those numbers rule the world these days. All right, follow the podcast TMAL Pod on Instagram and Twitter, TikTok, Teach Me a Lesson Pod. Again, TMAL Pod, Instagram, Twitter, Teach Me a Lesson Pod on TikTok. Also, make sure you're following, subscribed wherever you're listening. If you're on YouTube, subscribe on there. Smash that subscribe button. Elbow drop the like button. Okay, choke out the notification bell so you know every time we drop a new video or a clip, or who knows, go live in the future, maybe with Future. Who knows? I might get Future on the podcast. I might send an email. You never know. Shoot your shot. Okay, always shoot that shot. But yeah, make sure you're supporting in those ways as well. Also, we all know, go check out the Patreon, patreon.com/ElliottGB, where for just $3 a month, you can help support the podcast, okay? That helps me with production costs, with hosting costs. It's not a lot, but it adds up, okay? And it would really help. And then for $5 a month, you can get bonus content for each episode. I gotta cut stuff out of these episodes, all right? I'm not trying to have them Rogan length. We're not sitting here for 5 hours, deep dive in everything, all right? So I gotta cut some stuff out, not because it's not good, but because I want to keep them nice and sweet, short and listenable, at least for now. Who knows? In the future, I might beat Rogan. I might go 10 hours. I might do 10. We're doing a all-night church lock-in, okay? That's what these podcasts might turn into. Who knows? But you'll know because you'll be down to clown. I'm tired, okay? I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But go check out the Patreon. $5 a month, you get bonus content for each episode. You'll get it for this episode, all the past episodes, and all the future episodes as long as you keep paying, all right? And then for $10 a month, you also get some of my merch and all that same stuff. And also, I believe I've said in the past, you get to be my mom for a day. Title only, just in title. You don't actually get to make decisions. But you know, what other podcast is offering that? Either way, whether you're making decisions or you're just in title, what other podcast is offering that? I don't think many, and I can see why. But either way, go check that out. Patreon.com/ElliottGB. Now, if you want to support me, follow me on all social media platforms at GrentRadish, GRENTRADDISH, and come see me do some stand-up. I'm traveling around. This upcoming weekend, this comes out. So this upcoming weekend, the 20th and the 21st, I will be in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Twin Cities area at Comedy Corner Underground, doing some spots there. So come by, say what's up. That next weekend, I will be in Madison, Wisconsin, hometown, baby. I'm back. I'll be down there, so check that out. Then in LA, oh my gosh, I almost forgot. In LA, we just started a new show. Me and two great comics, Aaron Branch, AJ Lubecker. We all came together. We started this new show at an amazing comic book store / pinball arcade called Revenge of in Glassell Park. We just had the first show last weekend. It was amazing. Second one's coming up June 3rd. But this place just looks amazing. The owners are amazing. They've been so just down with everything. It's nuts. So we just started that. We had the first one last weekend. It was so much fun. It was a blast and a half. So we cannot wait. I can't believe I just said blast and a half. But we cannot wait for this next one coming up June 3rd. All right. And it's limited spots. It's a smallish room. There's only about 35 seats. So you're going to want to make sure to get your tickets right away. We got comics from like HBO, Netflix, movies. They're in movies. You know, you ever heard of the original streaming movies? You ever heard of it? This is weird. I'm getting tired. But make sure to get your tickets now. And you will, if you follow it at the Comic-Con show, that's what it's called, the Comic-Con. No relation. Don't worry about it. If you work for Comic-Con, just don't worry about it. Move on. All right. But I appreciate the listen. Appreciate you stopping by. So that'll be June 3rd. And then Seattle. Oh boy, coming back to Seattle, June 22nd. I will be at Clock Out Lounge, Joke Tellers Union, one of my favorite local shows in Seattle. And then June 23rd, your boy's headlining at Olmsted. All right, Capitol Hill, stand up. Let's go. All right, super excited for that. I want to sell it out because, like you'll hear in this episode, I deserve it. You know, I'm worthy. Not even worthy. I just deserve. I want this. All right, so let's do it. Let's manifest it. Let's put it out there and let's sell this out. But yeah, so you can find out about all that in all future shows. Follow me on all social media platforms at Grent Radish, GrentRadish, or check out my website, ElliottGB.com. Last thing, rate and review. We all know it helps. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you can do it on Spotify now. 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars. As always, anything below that, email me and we'll talk about it like adults. So yeah, all that being said, let's just get right into it. I was so happy I was able to have this conversation. Great conversation. We recorded it a while ago. I was hyped about it when it happened, and it's been a rough few weeks. Pretty rough few weeks, not gonna lie. Coming back editing this, I was like, man, I'm so happy I was able to listen to it again. It just kind of got me re-energized, revitalized. Quick little content warning going in. We do talk about depression and suicidal thoughts. So just be aware of that. If you're sensitive to that, maybe skip this one. But also just check out the clips. So many clips. It's just a very good episode. So I'm very excited. Yeah. So I hope you enjoy. Very funny, talented, inspiring. Stasia Patwell. That's it. Yeah, I guess we were shooting the shit, so I kind of just fucked up that momentum.
No, you didn't fuck up at all. Fuck up what? It doesn't matter. We're all dying. It's all good, you know?
Hey, that's true. That is true.
It doesn't matter. Not in a depressing way. Just like, we get hit by an asteroid tomorrow, so like, who cares? You know? That's my big lesson.
I totally agree. I've like the last kind of year or two really sat into that and been like, yeah, man, it's who cares? I have my only tattoo says have fun, because it's just like, why not?
It's actually all that matters, I think, because it used to depress me, like everything's meaningless, you know, but now I find it's like energizing and encouraging.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, if none of us know what the fuck we're doing here, literally not one of us knows. Yeah. Some of us think we do better than others, but none of us really knows the answer. We're just like flying through space on a rock. Nobody knows why. And it can be like really scary and depressing, or it can just be like, okay, well, nothing matters. So just do the thing you want to do.
Yeah.
You know, like, fine. Yeah. Do stand up. Who fucking cares? Like, doesn't matter. I mean, we made up bills. We made up every system. We've made it all up. It's all made up.
Yeah.
So if you think of life as more of a game, you know, as like something to like be good, like get good at and like have fun with it, then I think it's like more enjoyable and you have a bigger chance of being successful.
Yeah.
I think. In my experience, the second I stopped like worrying about the fact that like, what's the point? And I started thinking of it as like, it's kind of fun. That what's the point? That's when like my life turned around, you know? And I think like my biggest lesson really has been, and I'm like, I just got a big reminder of it last week, is like following your gut. And it's so cliche. And it's like, what does that even mean? It's like, but it's like, you know the answer to all of the things. It's just whether or not you listen to it or not. And when you listen to it, you're rewarded by the universe. Like if you follow the thing that makes you like excited and like, it just feels correct in all of your cells, and that is the correct path, and you shall be rewarded for that. But if you're like, I mean, I spent a lot of time trying to ignore the voices in my head, the good voices, you know? Yeah. And then you're like lost. Nothing like clicks, you know? But I think once you start trusting yourself and like really believing, like tuning into that little intuitive voice that we all have, and like being able to distinguish that from like just like pre-programming from your childhood trauma, but like really be able to feel it in your stomach when you get excited about something or you know something to be true for you. And when you follow that, you're like, that's it. That's like the magic, the yellow brick road. I mean, it took me 39 years to like, it takes what it takes to trust that voice of yours, you know? Yeah. But every time I listen to it, it's like, oh yeah, it's like synchronicity. You get like little signs, you bump into the person you're supposed to bump into that opens up the opportunity for that next thing, or, you know? And when you don't follow that gut, it's like everything feels like hard.
Yeah.
You know, like you're hitting your head up against a brick wall and you're like, why isn't anything working? And it's like, because you're not fucking listening to yourself. You know that you shouldn't be with this person, or you shouldn't be doing that thing, or you're just not listening.
Yeah, you kind of
Because
feel
it's hard.
that like resistance, you know,
Yeah.
without even necessarily realizing, oh, this is resistance, but you're just like, why is this hard for me? Or why, not necessarily
Yes.
like, oh, why isn't it going as smoothly as I want it to? But it's like, you're fighting yourself, you know, every day you have to wake up and be like, oh, all right, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this.
Right.
And it's like, that is the sign right there. That's that feeling.
Yes. Because usually the voice is telling you to change something, and change is uncomfortable, and your brain does not like change because you've been surviving at the status quo just fine. So why would you change anything? Because your brain just cares about survival. You know, it doesn't care about like following your bliss. You know what I mean? So you have to like kind of fight against the inertia of just doing the same thing over and over again, just because you're used to that. And that thought is comfortable, and that thought produces more of the same thoughts, which produces more of the same actions, which produces the same fucking life that you're sick of. You know?
Yeah.
So it's scary to make the change that you know is what you need, because it requires like venturing into the unknown, and the unknown is terrifying. But then again, it's like we just are in the unknown. We're just flying through space. I mean, no, we're just constantly in the unknown. So it's foolish to think anything is actually known. It's all unknown. So once you're just like, fuck it, who knows? Who cares? Let's just have fun. It is like a freedom, you know? And then you start to notice the things that give you energy and the things that suck energy from you, you know? And when you go towards the things that give you energy, like they make you laugh, they make you feel giddy, they make you feel in the flow, like time kind of disappears. Like those are the things you should move towards. And the things and people you need to stay away from are the thing, you know, whatever makes you feel exhausted and drained after dealing with a person or a certain situation. You're just like, oh, like I have no energy. I'm tired. I feel like someone's sucking the blood on me. Okay, that is not for you. Yeah. You know, so it's like a guidance system that we all have. And I think our job is just to get more and more like fluent in like interpreting and like understanding what it's saying, you know?
Yeah. God damn, let's go. All right, I'm excited for this. I am excited to get into this. So what's a quick little backstory on you for anyone who is unfamiliar? Who are you? Where you're from? What do you do?
My name is Stasia. I grew up in Boston. My dad writes dictionaries. My mom's a Latin teacher and an academic dean at a girls' school. And she moved to Greece and adopted an Afghani refugee child. And I went to school out here, and I became a raging alcoholic, loser, chubby, drunk, mess, suicidal, just a fucking disaster. And really, I was given, you know, my parents were teachers and they sent me to private girls' school in Boston. Like I had every opportunity to be like, you know, the next fucking Hillary Clinton, like without killing babies. But I became an alcoholic instead and wasted, I would say, 10 years of my life. And then I found fitness and stand-up comedy and waited tables for 21 years and finally got my certificate to be a trainer. And I was teaching spin classes for a long time. And then I started training people full time and doing stand up at night. And then quarantine happened. And I started an online fitness class for like, just like my girlfriend. It was just going to be me, Laura Bites, and Nicole Amy Schreiber. Like we were on the phone one night and it was like day 2 of quarantine. And, you know, we didn't know it was going to be 2 years. You know, we were like, oh, for the next 3 weeks, we better not get fat, you know? And I was like, I'll just lead us through some like squats and lunges and stuff like on Zoom. Like I had another girlfriend who was like, you should teach a class on Zoom. And I was like, that is so lame. I'll literally never do that. But that's so sweet of you to suggest that. But like, that's literally so lame. Okay. So then that same day, Nicole and Laura were like, we want to work out. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll just lead the 3 of us through some shit, whatever. I told a bunch of people, there were like 25 people in the first class, and it was like all girls from the Comedy Store. It was like so much fun. And it went really well. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I have nothing to do tomorrow either. So I just started teaching every day. And I taught for free for like the first year, maybe even longer. And then I was like, wait, I should be. But a lot of people started having like big transformations and, you know, it started being like a huge part of my life. And then the name School of Thought came to me, and Laura lost like 40 pounds. I went on Joe Rogan and gave me a shout out, and then it just like exploded. And now it's like a full blown business. And I moved into a big house so I could work in a studio in my yard. And my life did a 180. Like, it's completely I mean, I'm one of those few people, like, I know it's kind of annoying to hear or whatever. It is what it is. But it's like, COVID was the best thing that ever happened to me. Yeah. 2020 was the best fucking year ever. And it's just getting better every year. And it's 100%, I attribute it to learning how to and practicing every day how to control my thoughts. That's it. Because my default is like, I want to kill myself. What's the point? I fucking hate everything. Don't fucking talk to me. Like, first thing in the morning, like, my default is like, I hate everything. Don't talk to me. Don't ask my ex-boyfriend. Don't talk to me. Don't look at me. Like, I hate everything. So immediately I put on Abraham Hicks or Joe Dispenza, and I play those videos for like 30 minutes to an hour while I make coffee and like just like wake up and like plan classes and stuff. And it changes everything. It changes. I brainwash myself. And I truly attribute everything to that. And I know, listen, like, I'm from Boston. My dad's from the Bronx. My mom grew up in Detroit. I also grew up in Philly. I have every asshole city in my makeup. I could not be more skeptical of the woo-woo. My dad is the OG hater. If you met him, he's like Irish Italian, 78 years old, from the Bronx. Like, he hates on everything, you know? And that's how I grew up. And I like didn't even want this stuff to work, you know, but it works. And like, my life is literally proof. It's proof. Like, now I've proved it to myself in real time that like, when you change your thoughts, you change your reality. And when you start actually believing that you are worthy of like everything, you'll get it. But the only way to start believing you're worthy of it is you have to brainwash yourself and like say over and over again. And at first you feel like you're crazy because you're like, I don't even believe this. I sound like a fucking crazy person. Like, I don't have that money in my account. Like, I'm a piece of shit. Like, I don't just like all those things. It's just like old thoughts, and none of it is even true. And so, and it's like, we're all brainwashed anyway. So if you just choose what you brainwash yourself with, and go, fuck it. The story I've been telling myself that I'm a piece of shit and I'm not good enough, I'm not funny enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not hot, whatever bullshit it is. It's like, that story isn't working so great. Yeah. It's not giving me the results I want. So why not just try brainwashing myself that I am the shit, that I am worth fucking millions and millions of dollars, that I am worth having a life beyond my wildest dreams. Maybe I should just try that and see what happens. And then fuck me, it worked.
Yeah.
So now I'm just like, yeah, this is like, everyone deserves to control their thoughts and create the life they want. That's everyone's God-given birthright, as far as I'm concerned. It's just a matter of getting to the point where you can like trick your brain into allowing yourself to believe in those things.
Yeah.
And that's my whole business. I mean, yes, my thing is fitness, and I get girls in shape, like, and yes, it fucking works, and I have the pictures to prove it. But I think my biggest, like, the most fulfilling thing I do is like teach people or like encourage women to just start re-brainwashing themselves, because like, we're all professional self-haters. Like, we all know how to hate our bodies. We all know, like, and it's just like not doing anything for society or for the individual to think that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Those are two good points that I want to, well, there's multiple good points, but two that I want to touch on. But one about hating. It's like, it's so weird. You don't realize it until you kind of break out of it. But it's like you go into especially like wellness stuff and, you know, this and that.
Oh
Because
yeah.
because there are so many like fucking snake oil salesmen out there who are just
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is all you need to do. So you're ready to go in and be like, all right, I'm going to prove how it's wrong. And I can't wait to
Yeah.
do it. And then as soon as it works, you're like, shit, you know, it fucks with you because you're not ready to be in there. But then also it's like you turn into that person afterwards who, you know, once you go to people and you're like, look, I know, trust me,
Yeah.
I know all this shit, what it seems like from the outside, blah blah blah, but this actually works. So I think that's great
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, you found that and you're like, hey,
Oh, and like every day, I moved my dad out here from Brooklyn to take care of him. And like he's like softening up a little because I'm like micromanaging him, have him on a whole like protocol. Like, so, and he's just like, accepting it. But like every day, I'm like reminded, I'm like, God damn, it's a miracle that I have turned out like this, because it would have been really easy for me to just stay in that thought pattern of like, if I tell my dad how much money I made, he'll be like, well, it's not going to last. It's like that whole thing where you're just like, okay, that's not helpful.
yeah,
That's not real, but it's just like that kind of East Coast, like old school, just like, don't expect good things. Don't help yourself. Don't do work on yourself. Like no therapy, none of that shit.
yeah,
So it's like, I think a lot of people in that generation, especially kind of like missed out,
yeah,
because they have to go through life just like thinking that that's the way it is and that they have absolutely no control over their lives or their thoughts. And that's like, even now I try to play him some like woo woo hippy dippy videos. And I'm like, in some ways it's almost like, is that even worse for him to realize at 78 that like he could have not lived the life he had, like
yeah,
maybe that's not helpful for him to see that it doesn't have to be like a fucking like train wreck in your brain all the time,
yeah,
and that the only person who can fix that is you. And yes, I'm on antidepressants. I've had transcranial magnetic stimulation. Like my dad is like severe, like issues. Like I have every excuse to like just stay in the depression. I'm an alcoholic. I'm a comedian. I mean, it's like my brain is like just set up for a disaster,
yeah,
So it's like, but so every day and it's like not like, oh, I fixed it. It's like every single day I wake up and I have to kind of like, it's like that daily reprieve. I have to like do it again. I have to like get to the default again. I have to like I have to create my new baseline, you know, and takes time, repetition, and like effort.
yeah.
And it's annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. I have depression and anxiety too. And whenever I'm at my lowest, I'm just like, I'm tired of having to fight this every single day. And,
Yeah,
you
and you
know,
don't want to. You're
no,
like,
and some days are good, but then it's like, even then, it's when I'm low, you know, that I'm like, okay, I'm going to have good days, but then I'm going to go right back to bad and this and that. But
yeah.
it's that tiredness of having to do the work every single day and just being like, I just want it to be over and done. But then at the same time, I'm just like, yeah, but this is just, it's a low and it's going to end and it's going to get
Yeah.
past it. So you just got to keep working.
Yeah, I mean, I fully believe that people can crawl out of any hole that they're in if they want to, but it's really like you have to get to that point of desperation where the pain of doing what you need to do to change something is less than the pain that you're in at the status quo.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I'm in so much pain that it would actually be less painful for me to just fucking wake up, make my bed, listen to these videos, go into the sunlight, do some deep breathing, maybe move my body a little bit, drink a gallon of water. Like it will actually be easier for me to do that than it will be to stay where I am right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then once you start to see that the universe is reacting to you a little bit differently, it's like that external validation just kind of that creates inertia. And then you're like, oh, this does feel good. And then you keep going towards the thing that feels good. And then you keep every day re-brainwashing yourself. You keep doing all the things you know that you should be doing. And then your life starts to change. And then it's just easier. It's like when you lose weight and you start to see results. And then you're like, oh, it is working. Let me just double
Yeah.
down now. Fuck yeah. You know, it's like, it's the same thing. It's like, oh shit, like I'm not negative in my bank account every day now. Wait, maybe this shit is working. Oh shit, I just moved into oh shit. You know, it's like you keep experiencing like, you know, the fruits of your, I was going to say labor, but it isn't even labor. It's like, it's just like willingness to change your thoughts, like the willingness to accept that maybe every thought that you have is not true.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a scary thing to admit, because we all just assume because we're having the thoughts, that means those thoughts are true because they're my thoughts. So it's true for me, but it's not.
It is. It's that fear of the change. And you're like, well, you know, for me personally, at least, I'm like, all right, I got to start doing something different. And like, especially when I quit drinking, it's exactly what you said. I got to the point where leading up to it, I knew, okay, I'm an alcoholic, this and that, but it wasn't like terrible. So I just, yeah, you know, I'm an alcoholic. You know, who is? And especially I'm from the Midwest. So it's like everyone is there. So it's just like, you know, whatever. But then it got to a point where I'm like, okay, this is getting really bad. I'm blacking out, having panic attacks, fucking waking up next to suicide notes. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe we make it to, maybe, you know, it's kind of adjusting things, and it's going to be fucking weird not drinking or not drinking as much at first. I was just like, all right, I'll start taking more time off and this and that. But yeah, like you said, it was just, you got to that point where you just like, all right, what I'm doing right now clearly is not working anymore.
Yeah, maybe it's not working.
Yeah.
You know, maybe my way is maybe not the best way.
Yeah. And then, and even understanding too, like cycles. I mean, I stopped when I was 27. And so at that point, you know, it's like, well then, but what's my future going to look like? You know, if I'm not drinking, like how is it going to work? And it's like, okay, yeah. But now I look at it and I'm like, yeah, that was a time, that was a phase, you know, or whatever. But as I'm getting older and, you know, experiencing more things, it's like, okay, yeah, everything isn't forever.
No, nothing is forever. And nothing in nature blooms 365 days a year.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you can't expect that every single day you're going to be having this like incredible growth. It's like, you know, it's just showing up every day. It's like willingness to do the things that are tedious and annoying because you know they're for your greater good every day. And you don't have to be perfect. I tell my girls all the time, it's like, you don't have to be perfect at your food. You have to be pretty good most of the time. But when you're like all or nothing, like either I'm going to be the most positive, most healthy, or like I'll kill myself, it's like, that's impossible. It's impossible to sustain perfection. Yeah. Nobody I know can. So like, but a lot of us suffer from that whole like all or nothing thing. And I think that's why, as an addict, I mean, I fully do. And then I think that's why a lot of people fall off fitness programs, because it's like, well, I've been doing this perfectly every day for 3 weeks. And where's my Victoria's Secret modeling contract? Like, what the fuck? And it's like, yeah, that's great. But like, you can't see grass growing. It's growing. It takes longer than 3 weeks. You know, it's like everything in nature's time takes way longer than we'd like, because we're so used to changing the channel as quickly as we want. It's like, we're not used to like nature's time anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I just went on a tangent. I don't remember what I was trying to say, but the bottom line is it takes time, and growing is hard. None of this is anything anyone hasn't heard before. But if you are willing to do a little bit every day, it does add up, and it does change.
Yeah.
And, you know, I spent a lot of years like really regretting the way I spent most of my life. You know, like I fucked up a lot of years. I fucked up a lot of years of my life, you know, and I had immense shame and regret around all of it. And I found it really hard to let go of that until finally I started to find some success with School of Thot. And it just kind of dawned on me one day, like all of those horrible things that I went through, that I put myself through, that I felt so bad about, I now realize I needed to go through all of those things in order to even legitimize myself as a coach and as somebody who can help someone come up through the fucking bowels of hell and come into the body they want and the life they want. It's like, what good am I if I've just always had a good life and always had a perfect body and everything's great? It's like, yeah, I'm in no position to teach anyone anything in that case, you know? But so now I realize the thing that I had the most shame, the most regret about turns out to be the very thing that I needed to go through in order to be successful. And it's like, oh, well, hindsight really is really funny. It's like, it really is. It's like, it really is, you know? And now I'm like, oh, now I actually can be one of those people it's so annoying when you're like, I'm grateful for all the time. It's like, shut the fuck up. But it really is true. It's like, now I am grateful that I was a fucking disaster for a decade, you know, because I learned how to get out of hell, you know, and now I can help other women get out of hell.
Yeah.
And so great. You know? And now I know what to do if and when another hell comes, you know? I've been through that. I've been out. I know the way out. So yeah. It's like, you know, all those people who are like, I just want to get COVID, so then I don't get COVID.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. You had COVID for a while and now you're good.
I had COVID for 10 years.
Perfect. So would you say there's like a moment or like a time where you kind of realized all of this, or is it kind of like a slow build? Or
I mean, I really felt like shame and regret about all of those years in my life until like a year and a half ago. So I don't know. I think it just sort of happened gradually overnight. You know, it's like overnight success has just been working for 10 years. It felt kind of overnight, but I knew it was like gradual realization that the reason I'm able to help these women is because I know exactly what they feel right now. So actually, those horrible experiences that I thought were ruining my life are making me money now.
Yeah.
You know, so, and like I said, sometimes external validation, sometimes the money, the house, the feedback from other people, sometimes that does help a little bit to go, hey, reality check, you really did change. This really is, you really are having proof of what you're doing, you know?
I think especially in a, not to go this route, but in a capitalist society, you do need that, especially with the money, because it's like you can have, I mean, we know it as comics, you can be doing this and people can be, hey man, you're really good, you know, blah, blah, blah. You're pretty great. You're my favorite comic of the night. And you're like, cool, I can't pay rent doing this. So as much as you say that, like, until I get someone with money being like, hey, you're actually good, here's some money for doing it, you're like, this is great. But then you're doubting it yourself because you're like, can I even keep doing this? Should I keep doing this? Will I die if I keep doing this? You know, so you need that.
I think that I started to find success when I integrated all of who I am, as opposed to, it used to be like I would keep my stand-up separate from the fact that I was a trainer. Like I didn't want fitness people to know I was a comedian. I didn't want comedians to know I was a trainer because I thought it like made me less legit or what. I don't know what fucking thing. But then when it all kind of came together in quarantine and my classes kind of turned into like an open mic for me and everybody was on mute. So I was basically just like bombing for an hour because I can't hear if anyone's laughing, you know, and people would be like, oh, you were so funny. I'd be like, I was like, well, now if I do a show in real life, if I hear someone breathing, I'm going to be like, I'm killing, you know, because I'm just used to hearing nothing. But I think another thing that I realized is like I taught for free for so long. I did it for free for so long because it was natural and it felt good. And it felt like all of who I was, like comedy and fitness. And I did it for free. And I think that's the key. It's like find the thing that you naturally are happy to do for free because it feels good, it's fun, and it uses all of who you are, you know? And then like, if you can be of service to other people while you're doing that, like that's the ticket. I think that's the ticket. And once I like just integrate, and once I was just like, okay, I am a trainer, but I'm also a comedian. So maybe I'm just kind of like the funny shit talking trainer, and that's who I am. And that's what I'm known as. Maybe I am not known for just doing stand up or having a stand up special. Maybe I'm known for having a reality TV show that about transformations. It's really funny and it's all comedians. Maybe it's just something that's never been done before.
Yeah.
You know? So like, but I wouldn't have been able to like come to that conclusion until I just kind of let all of me come together. Does that make sense?
No, I mean, it does. And that really goes back to following your gut. I mean, you're thinking, okay, what's something I'm willing to do for free? And putting it that way, I think, like the way I just said it sounds dumb, because it sounds like you're sitting down at the kitchen table like, all right, let me write a list of things I'm willing to do for free.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of through experiencing things, through trying things out, which also, you know, talking about all the like self-help inspirational shit, as much as easy as it is to hate, once you reach that point where you're like, you know what, it won't hurt to just try it. The worst that'll happen is I get, you know, a day wasted listening to this shit, and then I go, this isn't really for me, and then you move on. But you know, okay, that's not gonna like ruin my life if I just waste a little day or whatever, you know.
And it's like I'll waste 8 hours watching serial killer documentaries. So what,
Exactly.
I can't watch 1 hour of like motivational speaking? Like maybe that, you know? So all that stuff, it's like we're ingesting it. And nothing against serial killer documentaries. I will watch true crime shit all day. Love it.
And nothing against serial killers too. Do your thing, man.
Love a good serial killer.
We need content.
Detail oriented. Really great follow through, which is hard to find in a man. No offense. But you know, everything that you're ingesting is either adding to or taking away from your energy. So it's like, okay, yeah, I'll watch serial killer documentaries, but I'll make sure that I'm also watching my like boo-boo Abraham Hicks, Joe Dispenza videos that day too. Like I will never, everything needs to be balanced, you know?
Do you think, this kind of goes into a question I usually ask too, which is like how all of this has kind of affected your life. But do you think, for me personally, once I kind of stopped drinking and not got on the straight path, but, you know, got more into self-helpy and, you know, all that kind of realization shit, has that like opened your curiosity towards the world? Because for me, I'm just like, I'll sit and learn about anything just because I'm like, what's going on out there now that I'm not, you know, worried about not throwing up on the bus or some shit, or, you know, making sure I get some sort of water in me that day. It's like, now that I'm like, okay, I can actually think and I have a little bit of energy and I'm, you know, clear headed. I'm like, yeah, what have I been missing this whole kind of time, you know?
Well, yeah, you're just like, your capacity to like take in other people and other experiences just expands.
Yeah.
You know, because when you're drinking every day, if you're an alcoholic or you're using drugs or whatever, your world just gets so small. Everything gets so small. Like I was always in my little studio apartment. I was always like a block from the boardwalk in Venice Beach. I never liked to leave. I never liked to go past Lincoln. I never liked to go past Pacific, really. Like I really just like to stay in my little corner and like go to that one bar, maybe this other bar right next to it, but like, let's not get crazy. Like my life was just so teeny tiny. And now that I'm sober, it's like, even though I'm working online, I'm not going out to work every day. I feel like my life is so much more expansive. Just like the types of people that I speak to or that I bump into, I mean, really, I guess it comes down to that. You know, it's like, I'm just more open to new experiences. Like I'm down to, I mean, yeah, I am a homebody. I love to stay home. And now I love my house. It's really hard to leave. But like, I don't feel like I'm not prepared for unknown experiences. I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Like whatever it is, it's not as scary as killing myself. And that's where I was at. So let's see it. You know, like in some ways I found a lot of freedom after like my lowest low, because I realized, well, if I'm not actually going to kill myself, if I don't actually have the balls to kill myself, and that means I'm deciding I'm going to stay here. Okay, well, if I'm going to stay here, then I better play the fucking game, because I'm not playing the game right now and it's not fun. So if I'm not going to kill myself, then the deal is I have to play the fucking game. And it's more fun when you play the game.
Yeah.
It's more fun when you're like, okay, like, let me just be involved in life. Because the other option, being shut off, closed off, alone, solitary, isolated, depressed, drinking, suicidal, like, I've tried that for years, and it's not fun. You know, it's boring. You know what you're going to get. You know where you're going to end up every night. You're going to end up at, I should kill myself, you know? And when you step out of that, it's like, you don't know where you're going to, you don't know when you walk your dog who you're going to meet, you know, and what door to what different universe is going to be opened when you meet that person, you know? So, yeah, now it's easier to be happy. And that, like, is a miracle. It's like a complete miracle.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know if that answered your question at all.
Yeah. When you're depressed, you're like, all right, I know I'm gonna end up either I'm gonna kill myself, or I'm gonna be huddled in my bed having a panic attack, sweating.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be fun. But if you're open, I mean, you could end up at a fucking Dave and Buster's, man. They got cool stuff there. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or even somewhere cooler than a Dave and Buster's.
Mm-hmm.
So why not?
Why not? I've been to a Dave and Buster's in the past year.
Let's see, look at that. And that never would have happened.
Yeah, never would have happened.
But so are you a big dreamer? Is that kind of where you're at now, where you're just kind of like, sky's the limit, why not?
I'm a big manifester.
Okay.
I had no plan for School of Thot. I had no, like, my 2-year plan. I had none of that. I just was sort of like really living day to day, like living just in today, and like doing what felt right, and then taking the next indicated step. And then, like, it just sort of evolved naturally, so now people are like, well, what do you want? Where do you see 5 years from now? I'm like, I don't know, because I don't know what my desires are going to be tomorrow. My desires might totally change, and then I'll follow those desires, but like, that's what I mean by intuition. Like, I think the more spiritual you allow yourself to, like, practice being, it's like tuning into another radio frequency. Like, I did a spiritual cleansing with Monterey. I don't know if you know Monterey.
Yeah.
And she's put it that way to me, and it really clicked. It's like when you're meditating, it's like you're just clicking into a different radio station. You're just tuning into a different frequency. And like, that's your job. That's what you have to do, is get to that frequency, because when you're there, that's when your intuition is strong. That's when you can, like, easily see what you want and go towards those things, and you attract those things that are in the same frequency, and then your desires change from there, so it's like, yeah, I guess I'm a dreamer, but I really am more of a manifester. It's like, okay, well, what do I want? Okay, well, I want to be making $100,000 a month. Okay, so now my job is to tune into that frequency. Because there's no difference in manifesting $100,000 a month than there is from manifesting $30,000 a month than there is from manifesting $10,000 in a month than there is from manifesting $6,000. It's just believing you're worthy of a bigger and bigger number. That's it. But it's the same thing. You're just becoming an energetic match for that, Yeah. So I don't think of it as dreaming anymore. I think of more, it's like, what do I want? Okay, now let me match myself to that.
Yeah, that's better. That's more of what I meant, and that was a better way to put it. That's why, even as I was saying it, I was like, fucking dreamer sounds like, oh, I wish, Yeah, exactly. But I was thinking, because I'm the same way. I got into vision boarding a couple years ago. And before I'd seen it in like high school and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I don't really, cause I had a friend, she put like a Ferrari on it. And I'm like, you barely have your driver's license. Like, how is just putting a picture on here going to get you a Ferrari? But then as I got older and then a couple years ago, I realized like, oh, okay, for me personally, at the very base, this is me putting a picture of something I want in a place where I'm going to see it every day. So it's going to be fresh in my mind. So every day I'm going to go, okay, that's right. I want to either get this writing job or I want to, headline X amount of shows. Then it's fresh in my mind. So then I'm like, what can I do today to get me one step closer to that?
Right. You need to be, it's not just woo woo matching my frequency. You need to be in action too.
Yeah.
But those actions are intuitive when you're in the right frequency, So when you're controlling your thoughts, your actions, you can trust your intuition more. So you're making moves from a gut instinct as opposed to like, I have planned to do, and like planning things like that, I'm sure works for a lot of people, but I think it's harder.
Yeah.
I think it's easier. Everything feels a little bit easier when you first figure out how to control your own energy. And quite frankly, for most people, that is the hardest fucking thing on the planet to do. So yeah, it's woo-woo, but it also is not easy. Because if it were, everyone would be living their dream life, right? Everyone would be making shit tons of money. It's not easy to kind of like fight against like the darkness that either is inherent in you or that you come across because we are on Earth and there's a lot of darkness on Earth. It is not easy to like counteract that. You have to like really want to.
Yeah.
And again, like I grew up with the antithesis of like spiritual woo-woo parents. Like I grew up with like East Coast intellectual academics, like my dad and mom met in their ancient Greek class at Penn, like these are not like creatives. Okay. Yeah. These are not like, I just felt like that's not how I grew. That is not how my brain is wired, nor how I grew up. And I had no one like that around me at all. Part of it is probably like I've been living in Venice Beach since 2005. So eventually this woo-woo shit was going to rub off on me. It's like eventually I was going to start collecting crystals, which I did, But I have a bunch of crystals. I don't know what they all do, but they're pretty. Who cares? But the point is, it's an annoying answer. And I know that I think maybe a lot of women are more open to this message than men, I think just naturally we're kind of more into the like hippy dippy shit. I don't know. You seem pretty open to it, but in my experience of the men in my life,
I can see it too, because I think women, I grew up around women and you are more just in tune with things.
We're more magical.
Yeah. And men are definitely told, do not go inside at all.
Right. You're not encouraged. It's, of course. I don't think it's easy to be a woman. I don't think it's easy to be a man. I think we all have a lot of shit that is hard to deal with about expectations people put on us on how we're supposed to act. And but I think it is something that is available to everybody.
Yeah.
And the problem is with how the message is delivered, So I think the reason that my classes have been successful is because I am delivering that message, but I'm delivering it's coming from a fucking bitchy East Coast girl with an attitude problem, So it's like, oh, okay, she's into that. Okay. All right. Well, I can get behind it because I think it's pretty fucking stupid, but she clearly does too. And it's where, so
I think too, there is something that helps that message get across when the person isn't necessarily pushy about it, and it's not the like, oh my God, I think everyone should try this, blah, blah, blah. They're just kind of like, look, this is what works for me. I want to share it with other people because I want other people to feel good. But at the same time, like, it might not work for you, and that's okay. You got to find your own shit. But the people who are like, oh, everyone needs to do this, everyone needs to do that, and then this will cause.
That doesn't work.
Yeah,
it doesn't. I mean, it's like you could bring a horse to water, you can't make it drink. I mean, it's like you cannot help somebody who is not looking for help. You know, it's like the teacher appears when the student's ready, like all that shit. It's like I've had, and I've experienced this so many times in my business. It's like, God, I know how to help this person. I know exactly what to do. They just they don't want it. They don't want it bad enough. And you can't help someone like that. Like it just is impossible.
Yeah.
It's like you can't tell somebody to get sober. They're not going to get sober until they need to get sober for themselves because they can't fucking stand living the way they're living anymore. Like telling them a million times, I can help you get sober. That's not going to fucking help. If anything, it just makes them go, hey, fuck off. You know? So I think if people are coming to my classes, like they're already kind of halfway in, you know? They're already making a move to change something about their body, you know? And like, you know, when you change your body, you change your life, period. The end. Fitness changes everything. It bleeds into everything. It's like the hot body is just like a great side effect, but like it changes your brain. It changes the way you carry yourself. It changes the way people react to you. It changes the way you interpret things that are happening. It changes the way you take responsibility for yourself in the world. It changes the way you lose that whole like victim, like, oh, like you lose that, you know, it starts to fade. And so because of that, you learn how to control your thoughts. Your entire life starts to change. And then suddenly you have a wicked hot body too. And it's like, oh, all I started doing was like lunges, you know, like saying affirmations in between sets. And suddenly like I'm living a way better life. Like suddenly I feel like sexy and I like want to fuck. And like everywhere I go, I'm kind of like holding my shoulders back. So people like smile at me more. And because of that, I'm kind of in a better mood. And then like I have a nicer interaction with someone at the grocery store. And then, you know, things like that. It just sort of like, it's a domino effect, you know?
Yeah. I noticed it's definitely changed for me. Just being like, okay, if I can get up and fucking jump rope for 20 minutes on a day that I really don't want to do it, then yeah, I can make this phone call that I'm building up in my head, or I can run this errand, or it's like, if I can, like the connection between the disconnect between the mind and the body, which I've kind of realized through meditation and shit too, but it's like that being like, okay, if I can physically do this thing that will make me feel sore afterwards or whatever, and then get up and then do it again tomorrow, if I can get past that block and just be like, fuck it, let's get it over with, then yeah, mentally, nothing's going to make my brain sore, you know?
No, you're unstoppable. Like if you let yourself be super physically uncomfortable, even if you don't like it, and you just let yourself keep going, even though every part of your brain is telling you to stop and you're so uncomfortable, it's like the rest of your day is so fucking easy. So easy. It's like, oh, what? That lady was a bitch to you? Okay, whatever. You know, it's like, I don't care. I'm exhausted. I don't care, you know? Oh yeah, and that's what they were saying. There's like some, you know, like do what millionaires do, you know, and it's like they always say, do the hardest thing first. Do the thing you don't want to do first, because once you get that out of the way, it's like all that anxiety of just like that's gone. It's like the hardest thing is over, great. Now the rest of the day is easy. You know, so I think it's the same thing as working out. I mean, like my main motto for my class, for my brand, whatever, is you don't have to like it. You don't have to like working out. Like that's not a thing. And because so many people, I think that, okay, well, I'm not a fitness person. I don't like it. So I guess I'm just not going to be in shape because I don't fucking like doing these workouts every day. It's like, yeah, you don't have to. I don't wake up every day like, I can't wait to work out. I know there are those psychopaths who do, but like, that's not me. So like, but that's not a reason to not do it. You don't have to like it, but you do have to be willing to do it. You just have to do it. You know, because you're going to get the results whether or not you're kicking and screaming the whole time, you know? So just do it. And like, don't let not wanting to do it be the reason you don't do it, because it's just not a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time I'm like, let me just get this shit over with. That's it.
Yeah. It's just like, fuck it. Like, just fucking do it. And then everything else is easier. Like the more uncomfortable you let yourself be physically during a workout, the more comfortable you're going to be physically in your skin for the rest of the day.
Yeah, that's it. Because every time I skip it, I'm like, damn, I should have done it. Then I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow. Then later in the day, I'm like, I should have just done it today. I should have got
And
it's
just
on
like
your mind
inertia.
all day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it just frees up your brain space. And it's just inertia. Like you want to just keep doing the thing that you've been doing or not doing the thing that you've been doing, you know? So if you just force yourself to do it every day, if you just like make it, like if you're doing one of my videos or my live classes, like put it in your fucking calendar. Put it in your calendar. If you don't put it in your calendar, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like we were supposed to do the podcast last week and I forgot to put it in my calendar. Surprise, surprise, I didn't show up. You know? And it's like, I'm sorry about that. That's like fully on me.
Fine.
I just like forgot to put it in my calendar. But it's like the same thing with working out. It's like, yeah, if you can't afford to get a trainer and like have an appointment, that's fine. But then you need to fucking put it in your calendar and show the fuck up. But accountability is really hard. And that is why my program is great, because we have accountability groups. So not to plug my program, but that is like, I think every fitness program does work. It's just like whether or not you do it, right? So like the accountability part is everything. And like from a business standpoint, it's like very annoying to do accountability for a large amount of people is hard, but it works. And that's why we have such good results. It's like AA. It's like you don't want to come in and tell everyone you drank the night before, you know? We just, people need people. We all need each other, you know? And it's like in this day and age where everyone is so quick to pathologize everything, like, oh, you're codependent on this. It's like, we're fucking pack animals. We're people. We need each other. We do need to depend on each other. And that's okay. And guess what? When the aliens come and the fucking zombie apocalypse happens, we're really going to need to depend on each other. So you should practice working with other people and depending on other people now, you know? And at the same time, like, honing in your sense of personal responsibility and handling everything yourself, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if that made any sense.
No, it did. I was just thinking about aliens now. I'm like, damn, all right.
I know.
What do we think is going to happen?
I don't know, but like, I do know that I'm fucking ready.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I joke a lot of times, like in my classes, like you're getting ready for like end times. Like we don't know what we're training for, but if you're ever in a burning building and you need to lift yourself out of that fucking burning building, then you're going to be really, really fucking happy that you were coming to these thought classes every week, you know?
Yep.
Because like at the end of the day, like someone might not come to save you. So you need to save yourself. You need to be the reliable one. You need to be the one who's like, I can fucking pick up the babies and run away from the zombie pack with them, you know?
Yeah.
And I I find pride and like satisfaction and fulfillment and like training myself like that so that like I know like I am of service to like my I can't believe I'm about to say my tribe. Like literally someone fucking put a bullet between my eyes right now. But like, but you know, like that.
You're a dreamer with a tribe.
Canceled myself.
You're a dreamer with a tribe.
I hate myself right now. but oh my God. But truly, you know, it's like, I want to know, like if shit were to hit the fan that I can go and get my dad and I got my dog and I can fucking handle getting the three of us out. Like I can handle it. Like I can fucking handle it. And if I have a man who's like not completely useless and can help me, that would be great. But like I take pride in knowing that like no matter what happens, I can handle myself and I can take care of my family.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And I think it's like it's all working out and it's all what I say to myself.
I've always in relationships, I've done what I call fire drills, which, you know, it's a fun little thing, but it's not fully a joke where I dead weight and see if they can lift me and get me out. And most of the time it does not.
That's a great idea. So you just go fully limp and you're like, you need to be able to like put me up.
Save me, you know, get me out.
Yeah. And you never had any luck, huh?
Maybe once or twice. I mean, definitely like being dragged. Then I'm like, okay,
well, can you do it to her? Can you? Can she fire? Yeah.
And that's where I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't mean to guilt trip afterwards, but I'm like,
You better fucking start lifting some weights, because if there's a pack of zombies at the door and it's like either you leave me here and I get eaten, or you fucking find a way to carry me out of the building and save us so we can have children, live happy ever after. It's like, that's on you. That's
what
on
future
you,
do you
babe.
want? What future do you want? Perfect. All right. Well, kind of landing the plane. Are there any books or anything that you would recommend that helped you out with all this?
You Are the Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza, or Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Those are amazing books. And I also would recommend just like going on YouTube and like typing in Abraham Hicks and listen. It is as woo-woo as you get. It's a woman who claims she's channeling a non-physical entity named Abraham. So listen. You don't have to be on board for that, because the message is amazing. So whether or not it's a non-physical entity or it's just a crazy old lady, doesn't matter, because the message is so fucking good, and it's sort of the same message over and over and over again. But I would just say, type in Abraham Hicks in YouTube and then choose whichever video calls to you. Like, there's a gazillion of them. And quite frankly, they all have the same message. It's all the same shit. It's all finding the feeling of where you want to be first, matching yourself to where you want to be first. You have to believe it first and then you see it. It's not the other way around. It's not you see it, then you believe it. It's you believe it, then you see it. That's the basis of it's law of attraction. It's like,
Yeah.
Or Dr. Joe Dispenza also has a bunch of videos too. So his books are amazing, but also you can YouTube him and look that stuff up or listen to him. And he's incredible. And he's a scientist. Like, he's a little more, grounded. I think he's a little easier for some people to swallow, depending on how open to woo-woo they are. But I mean, he also is basically giving the same message, but it's just a little more scientific, so.
You're not the first person to bring up Abraham Hicks.
I mean, Abraham Hicks I found before Joe Dispenza, and I think Abraham Hicks videos are the number one reason my life changed.
Yeah. I'll have to check them out.
Yeah.
It's funny you say about like all the videos kind of say the same thing, because when I first kind of got on my journey, I watched a good amount of, Gary Vee?
Mm-hmm.
I watched a bunch of his videos, and I remember it like hitting a certain point where it like clicked, where I'm like, oh, he's just saying the same thing over and over again, which is just do it. That's everything boils down to just get up and do it. Like whatever, because they're always, oh, Gary, I want to do this, but then I have this job and like this is going on. And he's like, oh, okay. And he'll like kind of beat around the bush a little bit, and then he'll just be like, but just do it. You just have to get up and do it. And they're all, oh, thanks. And then after, 100 hours of watching that, I'm like, okay, this is the same thing every time. It's still great.
But it's, and it never gets old because repetition is like the only thing that works for our dumbass brains.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how we learn everything. It's repetition, riding a bike, learning the alphabet. It's all repetition. Learning a language. You're learning a new language. That's really what it is. You're like learning a new language. You're learning how to speak to yourself.
All right. Well, wrapping it up. Got some 3 rapid fire questions for you. Okay. You can answer all of them. You can answer none of them. Your choice. If you answer none of them, I will be a little upset, but hey, it's your choice. Whatever you want. The first one is, what do you think a key to a happy life is?
Acceptance.
Okay.
Thought this was rapid.
Hey, no, I say they're rapid fire, but then some people like go on for 5 minutes, and I'm like, I'm not going to stop you because I want to hear all about it. But
acceptance and gratitude for, gratitude. Acceptance and gratitude are not the same, obviously, but they're like together. Acceptance for the things that you cannot stand, and gratitude for everything that you have, even if it's like, sometimes the only way to get out of like a real low in your brain is to force yourself to make a gratitude list, because your brain cannot be in fear and gratitude at the same time. So again, you're just like distracting your stupid ass fucking brain, all of our stupid brains, you know, and just going, okay, I want to kill myself. I hate everything. What am I grateful for? I'm grateful for my sneakers. I'm grateful my body's healthy. I'm grateful for my car. I'm grateful. You know, it's like, it doesn't have to be deep,
Yeah.
you know? But
Okay.
I think acceptance and gratitude.
Second question is, what is one of your simple pleasures?
Coffee in the morning. It's the greatest joy of my life. After I drink a liter of water while my coffee is brewing, and then I pour the first cup of coffee with some oat milk and cinnamon on top, and the first sip, I look forward to that sip the night before.
Nice.
I'm a simple woman.
All right, last question is, who's someone you want to work with in the future?
Joe Rogan and Tim Dillon and Whitney Cummings.
Perfect.
Tim Dillon is the greatest comedian of our time.
He's so funny.
And Whitney Cummings is my idol, and Joe Rogan is also my idol.
There you go.
So, yeah.
All right, well, what do you want to plug? Where can people find you?
My next session, my next 8-week course begins May 2nd. It's called Thought Certification. You can sign up in the link in my bio on my Instagram, which is at Stasia Patwell.
When's the one after that? This will come out, I think, on the 16th.
Comes out May 16th?
May 16th, yeah, sorry.
Oh, so it'll be whatever 8 weeks is after that. But you could just join my Patreon for all the workout videos, and I'm starting a thought certification every 8 weeks. So whenever this comes out, just go to my Instagram and it'll say when the next one is starting.
Perfect. What's your Instagram?
At Stasia Patwell. STASIA
Awesome.
I'm trying to get the School of Thot handle, but like somebody has it or something. So
I hate that shit. Do they post
so
on
annoying. Huh?
Do they post on it?
No. You can't. It doesn't even show up in account. It's like, oh my God, just fucking give it to me.
Yeah. I hate that shit.
I have to like match the frequency of that handle.
That is it. Well, Stasia, thank you for coming on. It's been a very enjoyable
Elliott.
conversation. As always, thank you for listening. Tune in next time when we're back with another great guest and another great lesson. Bye.
Bye.